Hello fellow cinephiles, the Film Dude here. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'll be looking at another Asian film from Imprint Asia called Peking Opera Blues. Now this was a film I really didn't know much about, hadn't really heard about it. It came out in the 80s. Because we haven't had access to these sort of movies, like I mentioned. Imprint's been bringing them out, so I've been able to catch these movies. And it was a film I didn't really know a lot about, but my friend was telling me about it. I looked into it, and it just sounded like a film I would like. So I thought I'd check it out. And wasn't I pleasantly surprised by the movie? It's not quite what I expected, but I really loved the direction it was taking. I loved, like, it had this sort of comical aspect to it, but also it contrasts between that and sort of more heavier sequences where characters are in prison or being beaten or shot, and just a shift in between that. I thought that was really interesting. I don't think I'd seen anything quite like this movie, and I was impressed with what unfolded upon the screen. The film is set in 1920 and follows and looks at while warlords battle for power, Sun Yat-sen runs an underground movement in an attempt to establish a democratic republic. Meanwhile, a group of women fight against society's standards. It has a really great cast. There's sort of 5 main characters, which I don't really always expect, and they're all sort of different, and they all have different wants and needs, and I like that. They felt very real. The first character you kind of meet is a she's a performer, but she really wants to become rich. She's really fascinated by jewels, and ultimately when the place she's playing, this house, this castle, this palace is set upon, and war breaks out, she ultimately steals all of these sort of jewels and stuff and puts them in this box, and her journey is trying to get that back. But obviously she evolves and changes as she goes along with what unfolds, but that's kind of her character, and she's kind of the comic relief in a lot of ways. But that's kind of what each character has. And she's played by Sherry Chung, who's really fun and great and adds a lot to her sort of role. There's also a character played by Sally Yu, I think her pronounce her name. I'm sorry if I'm messing the names up, but I'm not really good at pronouncing a lot of things. And she plays an aspiring Peking opera performer, and the daughter of an opera troupe. She's sort of this character that all she wants to do is perform. All she wants to do is get on stage. But at this point in time, or in the story itself, it's frowned upon women getting on the stage and playing characters. So that all the sort of female characters, or all the characters pretty much, are played by men. And it's really about her fighting to try and be part of that. And she does get an opportunity to do that just through certain circumstances unfold. But she's an interesting character. She's very capable, and she can fight really well, and just, I don't know, there's just something really great about her character. And she's another one as part of the 5 that's really fascinating to watch. There's Mark Cheng, I think, who plays Ling Park Ho, a revolutionary who works with the main character. And he's really cool too, because he's a little clumsy, but his martial arts ability and fighting style is really great, and we get to see him shine throughout it. And he's a very stoic character who doesn't reveal a lot or say a lot, but he sort of evolves as the film goes on, which is really cool as well. But by far the most compelling, interesting, and coolest character is Tao Wan, played by the great Bridget Lin. Now, she's an actress I hadn't really known too much except for her performance in Chungling Express, which was her last performance. She plays the woman in the blonde wig. It's kind of the hit, kind of a killer character. I really wish that movie showed her more, because I thought she was the most interesting part. And once again, she's the most interesting, compelling part about this film as well. She's a character that keeps her hair short, dresses like a man to fit a bit more into that world. She's a female character, of course, but she feels by dressing like that, they don't treat her like they treat other women. And she's a bit more accepted. And I thought that's interesting. She has these really cool, great suits and jackets, and just her outfits in general, fantastic. And just, she has this coolness about her. She's an actress I felt would have worked really great in a John Woo female lead inspired performance, because she's just fantastic to watch. She only didn't do, like, Chungking Express was the last one, and after this film she went on to do other martial artsy based films, because she is very capable in that aspect as well. But there's a coolness about her, especially here. She's strong and tough and smart, and she ultimately outfoxes everyone. There's a brutal scene where she's captured and she's whipped that's brutal, but her performance in that is extraordinary. She's really the standout and the highlight of this movie. I think she's fantastic to watch. To the point I want to see more of her, because I just think she had great skill as a performer. And her sequences in the film are the best, and she really shines. But she's part of an ensemble as well. Each character adds something to the story. Each character is unique and different, and each character has a different driving force. And then they all get mixed up in the same thing, because that's just what's happening. Going in, I wasn't that familiar with the aspects of Chinese history or Chinese culture, and I felt I needed to know a little bit, but it didn't ultimately matter in the end. I was just highly entertained by it. It was funny and interesting, engaging, had some great action sequences in it, some great performances, real emotional moments in it. I kind of even liked when you had these sort of older actors in it, playing fathers or whatever. They had these ridiculous wigs on or big moustaches, and there was a couple of them that did that, and I thought that added a great element to it. There's a sequence where the father who owns the opera company that his daughter's trying to become part of, he goes in to talk to her, and there's other people in the room, and the way they go about hiding in the room is very clever and funny. And it's very engaging like that. It's a real journey for the characters. It has a bit of a swashbuckling, exciting adventure element to it that felt a little bit like Indiana Jones. Just what the characters have to do, the whole, underground group rebellion against them. And someone also that I know talked about how it felt a little bit like Star Wars. They're very similar characters, and I can see aspects of that as well. It's just overall a very entertaining movie. The sequences that kind of stand out, besides all the sort of fun and joking moments in the moment I mentioned, is just there's this great sequence at the Peking Opera House, or where they put on these operas anyway, where the characters have to dress up as part of the troupe to hide. It's a fantastically done scene, very funny and entertaining. The action's great. It has some great moments in it. It's a really fantastic sequence. And there's many others. There's another sequence that takes place completely on the roofs of these sort of in this town, and it's just well done. It just has some great sequences like that that really stand out. Suspenseful moments, characters hiding things, characters hiding. It just was an overall fun movie. I did have a little bit of issue between the comedy and the drama was fine, but the action and the violence in it, which is great, but it just felt it switched tones in a way that I wasn't used to. But it still worked, part of the story. And that's how effective this film really is. It's a film Tarantino talks about being one of his favourites. He's a big fan of Bridget Lin and talks a lot about Chungking Express, and was the one who only got that film out to the public ultimately, in the public and culture consciousness. But yeah, he's a big fan of this film, and I can see why. I'm just so excited and happy we're getting these sort of Asian movies that we haven't ever had or haven't had for a long time, being re-released through imprint, and we're getting to see them in an interesting and unique way that just feels refreshing. Gives me hope in cinema. With all the movies today, which everybody keeps complaining about, they feel so derivative or so similar or few and far between. But movies like this and cinema from China and Hong Kong that we haven't seen before is really exciting me. And I think it's so great that they've been able to re-release these films, and we've been able, and a normal and average audiences are able to be exposed to these sorts of things. But I felt engaged all the way through. I thought, like I mentioned, the characters were great, how they're all different and the journey they all go on. That it was very funny, and action sequences were great, and it just felt very human. The characters felt very human in an extraordinary circumstances. And that goes hand in hand with the director and his ability to do that. There is another film that's sort of in the similar vein, Farewell My Concubine, which I've heard is a much more dramatic film compared to this. But it's interesting that these two films exist side in the same sort of time period and explore similar things just in different ways. I did like some of the humour in the film was a bit goofy and a bit over the top and sort of the era, and there's sort of sequences where characters fly through the air, they're clearly on some sort of like safety wires and stuff like that, but it adds a lot to it. It's a type of cinema I'm not usually exposed to, and that's why I enjoyed it, I think, so much, because it felt original to me. It felt refreshing and interesting and unique, with great performances. It was highly entertaining, and I just had a great time and a blast with the movie. Something I don't always have with a lot of the current and new movies that are coming out. There's something about these older films. There's something about the storytelling that was happening, what they were sort of conveying, and how they weren't too much of a derivative of other things. Most things we see, old or new, is derivative or taken from something else. But with earlier films, this is less so. And that's why I kind of love movies like this. I highly recommend it. Just for something different, refreshing. If you're a film buff and haven't seen this, I recommend you check it out. It is definitely worth your time. Even if just for the performances, the humour, the action, or even like the costumes and set design are fantastic. It just is just a really immersive, interesting film, immersed in culture and history, and doing it in a creative way, and it's definitely worth your time. Anyway, that's it from me today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe down the bottom. Follow me on Letterboxd and Facebook. I will be looking at more films like this down the track, especially with John Woo's movies coming out, and just looking at older films that I either haven't seen or haven't seen in a while, and just revisiting them. Anyway, until next time, enjoy the movies.